Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus video. Today we're going to be taking a look at this console right here, which is actually my Sega Dreamcast. Now it's not my original Sega Dreamcast, that actually had died at one point, but this one, from what I can see, let's go ahead and turn it on here, actually still works. And that monitor I had in one of my other videos, I actually have it connected to. Just gonna show you really quick. See, it's on the computer monitor up there, and I put this game here, Dead or Alive 2, in it, and sure enough it reads the discs. But what we will be doing in this video is we will be, I'm going to go ahead and turn that off, but we will be installing this GDEmu that I got off of AliExpress. I actually just got this today. Here's the whole GDEmu. And that'll go into the Dreamcast and replace the GD-Rom drive. So I've already tested this. I played actually a full arcade mode of Dead or Alive 2 and saw that it fully works. We even got the little thingy that kind of sits where the disk drive would have been. And it looks like some various hardware and stuff. So basically what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the Dreamcast and then get it all disassembled and just kind of show you what it looks like putting this thing in. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because I'm sure there are probably about 30,000 different YouTube videos where people actually do that. So I don't see the point of making another one, but I'm just going to go ahead and pause here, disconnect the Dreamcast, and then we're gonna have it all like disassembled and stuff. Okay, now as you can see, we have the GDEmu actually placed. I'm gonna put the cover on after I do this. Just right now I want to just test to make sure it works. So I'm gonna just push the button here. And we're gonna look up at our screen. Can I get this a little better? Yeah, there we go, we got it a little better. And now, oh, it's saying Sega, so there must be something going on here. And it's loading. There was an 8 GB card included. Oh wow, actually there's Dead or Alive 2 is included. But it's the Japanese version with some Lee Fang disc that never existed. Soul Calibur, Spawn, Crazy Taxi 2, Boot Dreams, and Ghetto Pong. And this apparently is the V6. Let's see Dead or Alive 2. I just want to see if this actually works, because this is the first time I've ever had this. Let's hit it. And of course, you're not going to hear ch-chunk happening when the system is loading. And if you saw the one that I had there, I have the actual little thing so it can actually, how do I want to say it? I can swap out the memory cards without taking the thing apart. And yeah, there's Dead or Alive 2, and it's loading a lot faster than it would off a disc. Yeah, pretty much instantly, if you see that. I don't know if you've ever had a Dreamcast before, but if I'm doing what I'm doing right now on like a regular disc, it would be going between every time you change a costume, but it's almost instant out here. But that's very good to see that it's working, so I'm going to turn off the system now and get it all buttoned up and, you know, make sure it still works. And then maybe we're going to take a look at the folder structure of the memory card here. But, yeah, let's get out of this really quick. I'll go ahead and turn the system off, and then we will button it up, and I'll take a look at the folder structure after this, maybe put some of my own games on it. So, a bit of an update here. Apparently that, that one selection on the menu, which was like something Dream, that led into like a Neo Geo emulator, which only had 3 fighting games, because, you know, there's not many fighting games on Neo Geo. There's King of Monsters 2, Fatal Fury, and I think, one of the World Heroes games. And for some reason, Ghetto Pong, which I'm pretty sure Ghetto Pong was actually a homebrew game for the Dreamcast, that actually just led into an NES emulator, which you can actually see displayed on my screen right now. And that's one thing that I always thought was weird about Dreamcast, as opposed to, like, I can remember running emulators on my Xbox, and I would just have them, like, full screen. People would always be like, oh, they need to be pixel perfect. And I'm thinking to myself, on my TV, it was never, like, so skinny like this. But just figured I'd give you a bit of an update about that, because it just seemed kind of weird to me that the Pong game that I thought was going to be the Pong game ended up just being a Nintendo emulator. So, yeah, here we are. But, yeah, that's all for now. I think in the next part, we'll probably just quickly look into the file system of this whole thing and see what we got going on. And maybe see if I can load some of my own games. Now, the reason I have the Dreamcast disassembled again is for, like, an interesting side note here. As you can see on this side here, there's, like, this little plastic, like, stilt that the whole enclosure kind of sits on. When I had taken the hardware kit for this apart, that's a little button I think lets you change discs or something, but when I'd taken this whole little kit apart and all the, like, hardware came, like, flying out, this part actually fell into my GD-Rom drive, and I was like, why is there, like, a shaky part in my GD-Rom drive when I'm trying to, like, put it away? And it turns out it was that little piece that's supposed to hold up this side of the GDEmu. So if you get one of these kits and you notice there's no, like, little plastic piece that holds up the side, it may have fell somewhere, and yeah, you maybe should look for it. And apparently the screw in the back here, I had that, like, somehow screwed in the wrong place, and it wasn't really, like, screwed down right, so I'm kind of glad I took this all apart. But it's just an interesting side note that if you can't find that little plastic piece, you may have lost it like I did, and it may have, like, fallen into your old GD-ROM drive. But I'm going to go ahead and just turn this thing on one more time to make sure it's okay. And then in the next part here, we're going to quickly look at the file system of the included memory card. And I think this slot here is, like, for extra memory cards that you can just, like, kind of store them there. And then just put one in here. And then that's the one that's actually in the GD extender. Now, this thing was a bit of a complicated thing to put together when I had no instructions, because what happened was I had to put the little button in. There's two screws that attach to the bottom of the GDEmu that kind of screwed into this thing, and then there's the one screw over here, which is a longer screw, and then I figured out that it needed to go on that plastic thing, and then of course the little screw over here, and then there were two more screws that held the SD extender into here, so when you pushed in and out memory cards, you didn't lose them. But I'll test this off camera, and then in the next bit here, we're going to take a look at the file system on the thing and see if I can maybe put one of my games on here, because the only thing I don't like is that the Soul Calibur version on the memory card they included is the Japanese version, and, you know, I don't have a Japanese save for that, but yeah, just you live and you learn. There should be that little plastic piece that holds up the side there. So if you can't find it, maybe it fell into your GD-ROM drive like it did for me. But either way, oh geez, there's some, like, stuff in the corner here. Maybe something spilled in this Dreamcast at some point. But hey, at least it still works. But we're going to go ahead and look at the file system in the next part. Well, as long as it still works after all that. Okay, well now I have the memory card plugged into my computer here. I just want to kind of show you what we have going on here on this image. There was originally 7 things on here. Of course, your first 5 are the games that they included. It was the emulator menu, which is this one, this GDEmu.cdi. Then we had various games, which are all just a numbered folder, and disk.gdi. I guess the GDEmu actually just figures out what game is what game. I'm going to have to figure out how to do cover art and everything eventually, but to explain why those ones looked weird is the first one is 50 in 1 Neo Geo.cdi, and then the last one was NES Simulator Sky 611.cdi. So that's why it was reading the actual. It was reading the actual. How do I want to call it? Like the header or something, and that's how it was actually figuring out what each game was. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plug this back into the Dreamcast, see if my added game was actually detected properly, and if that works, then my actual added game I will patch, because the game that I put on here was Moeru Justice Gaken, which is the Japanese version of Project Justice, just to see if that will work just by dropping the image that I actually ripped on this particular Dreamcast with the GD-Rom drive, which I will be keeping, mind you, because that's a working GD-Rom drive. And basically, if it works, then what I'll do is I'll add the English patch and I'll be able to play the board game mode, because that's one of the big reasons I bought this. Well, other than the fact that then I can do more of the cross-play games that cross-play with the Naomi and play them a lot easier than having to, how do I want to say it, load the disc, do all that stuff, and I can just load it on the GDEmu. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back in here, and then we'll see if this works. Oh, okay, now as you can see, it actually worked, and it actually detected our 8th game that I just added. All I basically did, and it must pull that disk image from the actual game, because all I actually did was dropped the folder for Moeru Justice Gaken into the GDEmu, renamed it to 08, and then I renamed the GDI image into disk.gdi, popped the memory card back into the Dreamcast, and here we are. Let me just go ahead and hit A. I just want to make sure it actually works, because this would be the first piece of content I put on there. Since the card that was included with this GDEmu was only 8 gigabytes, I will most likely, that's probably one of those you don't have a save screens, because the VMU I have here doesn't have much space. But yeah, sure enough, here we are. Moeru Justice Gaken working on our American unmodified Dreamcast that just has a GDEmu installed. But yeah, everything appears to be working. But what I'm going to do really quickly for the last segment of this video, kind of to show you the value add part of this whole having the GDEmu, is patch this image with that English translation for the board game mode, and then we'll see if we can actually play that off of our newly installed GDEmu. Okay, now jumping through all kinds of crazy hoops, I didn't realize it was actually so easy that I just applied a DCP patch with this program called Universal Dreamcast Patcher. But all I had to do was do that, and now it's patched. So let's kind of see if one of the big points of me getting this GDEmu actually works, and now I can play the Moeru Justice Gaken board game mode in English. Hopefully this actually worked. Oh good, look, it's in English. Let's just push start to continue. The warning screen is not in English, but that's fine. But let's see. Board game for 4, create, edit, chars. Oh, that's actually good. Yeah, everything, all the text is in English. So if I go here, yeah, you'll see join festival, continue, and then you can actually, to join the festival, there's stuff that registers. Yeah, really good. Now, for the last part of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and replace a couple of those game images with some of mine. and then we'll just call it a day for this install a GDEmu video. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll be right back with you for one last part. Okay, so as you can see, I have placed some of my own games on here, and the only game I actually had any issues with was Soul Calibur. I grabbed my version of it, it didn't work. I grabbed a version of it in a GDI archive on archive.org, it didn't work. I grabbed another GDI version of it on archive.org, it also didn't work. It wasn't until I got the TOSEC 1S version and it finally worked. So I'm not sure what the deal is with that. I left the Dead or Alive 2 that was on here. I put Sonic Adventure on here, my save loads, which is actually on my memory card here. I put Fighting Vipers 2, I've verified that works. I haven't checked Virtual Fighter 3 yet here, but yeah. Everything I put on here actually works, and it's not too hard to get games working on here, but that was the only really weird anomaly. And as an interesting side note, I've actually used the box that the GDEmu came in. I put the GD-Rom drive from my Dreamcast. It actually fits perfectly in here, so if you're like me and you have a working GD-Rom drive, it's actually pretty handy, the little box they give you. And I put the little screws in like one of these bubble wrap bags that came with all the junk that was in the kit. But that's going to be all for this video. Suffice it to say, we can go ahead and unzoom here, and then I'm just going to show really quickly what I have on my desk after all of this craziness. I can literally tell you the last like few minutes here was spent trying to figure out why Soul Calibur didn't work until I found a version that did. But yeah, here's the Dreamcast. As you can see, we have the little plastic thing here with the memory card sticking out, and there's this button here which I believe is for disc changing, but that's about it. The whole thing works, and yeah, I'm actually quite happy with this. It didn't take too long to come from AliExpress, but that's going to be all for this video. Just basically showing you features of my GDEmu that I now have on here. Of course, this is a clone because the originals are hard to find / expensive if you find them, but yeah, the one I got in AliExpress, no problem, and I purposely picked this white plastic thing because I think it goes well with the Dreamcast. But that's going to be all for this video, showing you a little bit of the journey of installing a GDEmu. And I read online those TOSEC ones are the better GDIs, like if your rips don't work, because my version of Soul Calibur was ripped from my original GD-ROM, so I have no idea what was wrong with it, or what was wrong with the other two versions of it I downloaded. But yeah, that's going to be all for this video, and I'll be doing more with my GDEmu with my Dreamcast, and you'll see that in some future videos. Well, until later, bye.